What is up, y'all? Hope you're doing well today. In this video, we are going to talk about matching the colors of cameras from different manufacturers. So if you've ever tried to match two cameras manually, say you have a Canon and a Panasonic, you know that process is really tedious. So I was looking for a solution for this that would make the process a little bit simpler. And the folks that made the film emulation plugin, Film Convert, have made another plugin called CineMatch. And this is specifically what this plugin is meant to do. It takes a log curve from different cameras and can transform those into a unified log curve that is of the camera of your choosing. So you can choose V-Log from the GH5 and turn it into C-Log2. You could choose to turn C-Log2 into an RE log curve. I think what really gets me excited about this is because I've recently upgraded to the Canon C70 from the Panasonic GH5, I don't really have the budget to drop on a secondary camera that's in the Canon ecosystem. So I'd really love to be able to continue using my GH5 as a B camera, and I've been trying to match the footage myself. Even using color checkers and things like that, it's really difficult to get the footage to match up. So I tried the demo version of CineMatch, which you can download on their website. The only restriction is it watermarks your footage, and I was completely blown away. I could not believe how easy it was and how quick I was getting my footage to match. So I asked if they'd be interested in collaborating on a video, and they sent me over a copy of the software to try out. And so for this test, I did a quick shoot in V-Log on the Panasonic GH5, in C-Log2 on the Canon C70, and then just for fun, I shot in D-Log on the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. So let's jump on the computer and take a look at how this plugin works. We'll go step by step and see if we can get these three clips to match up. Okay, here we are in Premiere Pro. We have the three clips in their native log format. So we have the GH5, we've got the Canon C70, and we've got the Mavic 2 Pro. And just for the sake of you seeing how these don't line up to begin with, I've applied the manufacturer's LUT to each of these. And so this is the GH5 with their LUT. This is the C70 with Canon's LUT, and then this is the Mavic 2 Pro with their LUT. This one is a little overexposed looking, but I think it'll still work for what we're doing. So you can see these do not match at all when we transform them to Rec. 709. So let's look at bringing these up into the same color space. All we need to do to start is to drop CineMatch on our first clip. And when you put CineMatch in, you are given this step-by-step process. So step one is sensor match. So we're gonna choose our camera, and we've got all these options to choose from. We're gonna choose Panasonic and GH5 and then V-Log, and we'll leave that in limited. We'll hit apply. And then we choose our target camera. And in this case, we're going to target everything to be the C70 and C-Log2. So we'll choose that. And we've already got that and that, so that's good to go. And now this has done the basic work to convert a V-Log curve into a C-Log2 curve. Now we're gonna just copy and paste this onto the next clip. And now this one is our C70 footage. And so we're just gonna go into the source camera again, and we're gonna change it to Canon C70, and the target can stay the same. And we're doing this for this clip because there's these other functions that we're gonna rely on that will need that there. And then we'll do the same thing for the drone clip. Change this to DJI, Mavic 2 Pro, and D-Log, hit apply, and again, our target is still the same. So now we've brought these into a similar log curve. There's still some differences between them that we're gonna have to correct. So to do the next step of the process, I'd like to bring up the comparison view. And I'll find in here where the C70 footage is. So this is the C70, and we're gonna work on the GH5 clip. So we'll put these at the same spot. And when you're comparing these log curves side by side, you can already tell there is some differences. Biggest thing I'm noticing right now is exposure though. So we'll turn on apply Rec. 709 transform for the GH5 as well as the C70. And this is just gonna show us what these look like once they are transformed. To adjust exposure, we can check this middle gray checkbox, and that's turning it on our C70 clip. We'll also turn this on the GH5 clip. And now what we wanna do is match the clip over here to what we're seeing here. You could go vice versa, but we're just trying to get the green to occupy similar spaces. So I think we need to actually raise the exposure a little bit. And you can see I'm really looking at this behind my head to match this, kind of looking at the hat, getting those things to look as similar as possible. That looks pretty good for a starting place. You can also do this based on skin tone if you prefer, but I do like the middle gray. Now the next step is going to be checking our color temperature, and so we can click the temperature guide button, and we'll do that on both of the clips as well. And you know, when I was shooting this, I had the cameras set to the same white balance of 5600 Kelvin. I probably should have adjusted this slightly because I was lighting the scene with a daylight balanced light, but I had some yellow light spilling in through a curtain, so the whole scene is pushing towards yellow quite a bit. So what we'll actually do to first is adjust the C70 to be a little bit more balanced. And what you're doing here with this is you're kind of, if you go more warm, you're seeing everything turn orange. If you go blue, things will start to turn blue. You can see a bit of blue and blue. We're just trying to neutralize it a bit. Some of things actually should be a bit warm, like this wall is kind of yellow. So I'm not going to go too far with it, but something like that feels about right. And we can turn off the temperature guide and kind of look. Skin tone looks pretty good. And now we're going to do the same thing in our GH5 clip. So we'll bring this down a bit until we are kind of matching. Something like that. That's close. Then we'll do the same thing with the tint. So I'll turn tint on for the GH5 and for the C70. And I'm going to work the C70 clip first. This shirt is actually a kind of a gray color. There's a bit of purple and green in it, I think, though. So I'm going to pull it down just a little bit to get some of that magenta out. And then we're going to do the same thing in the GH5 clip over here. Just trying to get those to match up. That looks pretty close. And then we can turn that off and that off. And you can already see these two clips are very close to each other. They're not perfect yet. There is a bit more work to be done, but the first steps of getting this to match up is dialed in. Now the last step of this is the HSL curve, and there's a few different ways that you can do this. You could manually adjust this curve yourself, but what I really like is using the eyedroppers here. So I can go in on my GH5 clip and I can select, say, my skin tone. It doesn't look quite right. It's a little bit more magenta here. So I'm going to go source, and the source clip is here on the GH5, and then I want to make it look like the C70, so I'm clicking the same spot, and it's applying this small hue, saturation, and luminance adjustment to that. I could do the same thing, let's say, on the background here. Maybe we'll do the corner of the computer screen, and we'll do that here. And again, it's just doing minor adjustments to that. And I think we'll call that good for now. Now, I'm just gonna fast forward this next part. I'm gonna do the same thing with the Mavic clip, and then we'll look at all three clips side by side. Okay, we're back. So we've got all these clips approximately matching. They are not perfect, but they are very close. You can see here, this is with the Rec 709 transform that is built into the plugin. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna turn that off, so that we will have all of the clips in a C-Log2 log curve. And then I'm going to put an adjustment layer above them. And we're going to just put the input LUT here and choose the C-Log2 to 709. And so now we have applied the Canon manufactured LUT. So we've got the GH5 here. We've got the Canon C70, and we've got the Mavic 2 Pro, which I cannot believe the Mavic 2 Pro actually lives in the same color space as this. It's pretty impressive. So you could get in here and do lots of fine tuning to get these fully dialed in, but when you compare these 3 frames with these 3 frames, it's just night and day, and that was a really simple process to do. So that is all there is to it. A handful of clicks and a simple step-by-step process, and you've got 3 different cameras matching nearly flawlessly. I'm particularly impressed with that Mavic 2 Pro footage. I usually have a really hard time getting that to match my other cameras, spending a lot of time in post just doing minor adjustments, and with this plugin I can just click a couple buttons and before I know it I've got everything looking the same. So I really recommend CineMatch. I think it will help you out a lot if you have a multiple camera workflow. So give it a try, see how it works for you. Until the next video, get out there, make something beautiful, and I'll see you all soon. Later.